a very special guest who he messaged me from the Blackburn Rovers supporter page. Once I was sending the invites out for people to come on the stream today. He currently lives in Hangzhou in China. Moved out there a year ago with his wife, an avid Blackburn Rovers supporter. And I'd like to introduce everyone to Glyn Fowler. Hi, Glyn. How you doing, pal?
Good evening. How are you? Sorry, good morning. Good afternoon. Sorry.
Yeah, well, 20 past 12 here, pal. 20 past 12.
20 past 7 here. And it's been 31 degrees. So,
Too bad, not too bad. I think we're touching the 16, 17 degrees today here. So,
balmy weather. Balmy weather.
Not too bad. Tops off and all that, all the barbecues and all the rest of it, So how are you? How's your family? Okay.
Yeah, they're all fine. We've been in contact with over the last couple of days. We're fine here. We more or less come out of lockdown. I was listening to what you were saying to Nathan. I think one of the big differences when we went into lockdown, it was a case of you got an hour to go shopping. You were checked in, you were checked out of your complexes, you went through security at the shopping malls, and you went through security on the roads there. There was nobody moving, there was no traffic, anything. So we did it, but I think there's a slight different mental attitude. The Chinese do seem to be very much, if the government has said this, then it's done. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but we've now come out. In fact, we just spent the day at a place called Wetlands on a walking tour, and everybody was out. Yes, we're still wearing masks. We still get checked for temperature everywhere we go. We had a visit to IKEA the other day, and I've now got a lovely picture of me and my wife in like a square box with our temperatures over our heads coming in and out. But life will return. It may not be quick. I mean, we've been more or less 6 months, obviously. So I think if everybody just gets that mental attitude that life will return back, and hopefully, by maybe June, July, things will be picked up and things will be back. I will just say that, in fact, I haven't got the picture with me. We've just had a McDonald's for tea. So just thought I'd throw that out
there. Nice. I think I seen a news report last week of McDonald's returning back here at some point next month.
Well, ironically, McDonald's and KFC were the only places that stayed delivering through our lockdown. Those were the only two places you could actually get an order from.
Nice.
I was just listening to Nathan, and we used to live in Wickley Woods, which is obviously right close to Chorley. And I used to go down to Chorley quite often when one of our old players used to be the manager there. And I've been on there a couple of times and watched Blackpool play down there, because we know one of the Blackpool players through my wife. She knows one of the Blackpool players. So yeah, I followed Charlie as well at the time. And going back to your comment about the football returning, I don't know, I might have a strange view on this, because I've always thought that football was for the supporters.
Okay.
And I understand the problems with the TV money, because that's where most of the income from most of the clubs come from. But playing behind closed doors, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. For me, it's all about the fans. And why play if the fans can't watch them? Yes, I know they're going to be live on TV and whatever, but is every game going to be live? Is it going to be open to everybody? Or are we all going to have to subscribe to Sky to watch the teams? And I'm sure there could be a deal made with Sky to say, look, the season's over. The money can be spread over 5 years or over the next, whatever the contract is. So it's not an immediate impact, and the impact is slower on each club.
Yeah.
I do feel sorry for clubs. I mean, I'm not a big Liverpool supporter, but you've got to say, they're that close to winning the league for the first time in 30 years, 35 years probably. And for it to be snatched away from them, it would be cruel. It would be cruel. So from that point of view, yes, I can see the problems, but I'm just not. I just cannot level playing behind closed doors. It just doesn't do it for me. I mean, I'm at the other end of the world, so I won't get to the games anyway. And yes, I would be watching them on TV. But I'd also think I could come back and watch Blackburn play in the playoff finals at Wembley, and it not be behind closed doors.
Yeah.
That would be the travesty of it. So, you know, don't know where to go with that one, really.
I mean, we did a live stream last week. Spoke about this. My thoughts were obviously everyone's been on lockdown here for, I don't know, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. So if you're going to bring football back sort of June, say, for example, everyone's would have been in lockdown for 3-4 months. Everyone's dying to get to the pub. Do you know what I mean? So for me, if you don't send the fans to the ground, they're all going to congregate in the pubs, which means it's going to be an even more of a health and safety risk for the police to police all that than it is having 70,000 at Old Trafford for a game, you know. And again, I take your point where, you know, football is for the fans and they live for the atmosphere. So imagine seeing I don't know, Blackburn versus Wigan on Sky Sports with no fans.
Yeah.
You might as well stick it on.
We're both used to that now.
I mean, it's going back to times where I've watched football on the telly and muted it and stuck it on Radio 5 Live for the commentary. You know what I mean? It might hark back to that, you know. It might be for only a couple of weeks, couple of months, or whatever it is, but at least we can get football back, you know.
I mean, I managed youth football for 10 years. Could I honestly, hand on heart, put my players at that risk? Now, let's look at this logically. How many people would it take to put a football game on? 200?
Possibly. Possibly.
Yeah. You've got 30 staff and members from each team, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
So that's 60. Then you've got your referees and officials, so another 5. Yep. Then you've got all the staff that would need to be within the crowd, and all the TV production team. Yep. So how, as a manager, can I say to any top player, I'm going to put you at risk?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Behind closed doors doesn't mean there's nobody there. Behind closed doors means there's possibly still 200 people there.
Yeah. And there's also the fact that obviously they have emergency services there as well on site.
Correct.
So that's stretching the NHS even more then.
Yeah. I think each game's got to have 2 doctors, an ambulance, paramedics. So you've probably 10, 15 people there that are very much needed elsewhere. I don't know. I'm torn with this one. I say I watch most of my football on TV, so I don't get to the games as often as I would do. When I get back, I get to a game as soon as I get back. But I don't know. I'm really torn with this one because it's not behind closed doors, i.e. there's 22 players there and that's it. It's more people.
Yeah, of course.
What then happens? Well, we'll play them all at neutral grounds. So then you've got 60 players coming in and out, 60 players coming in and out, 60 players coming in and out. How many times do you do that in a day?
Of course, yeah, of course, yeah.
So I don't know. And going back to what I said, I would feel absolutely gutted for Liverpool, and I am not a Liverpool supporter if they don't get the title this time.
Yeah.
I think to try and do it on a points basis, I think Liverpool would be fine. It's the relegation that I would have a problem with, because as we all know, funny things happen when you start getting closer to the end of seasons. Many a club has the last 5 games won them for some strange reason. They haven't won any games all season in the last 5, and they miss out on relegation. Yeah. And some club that's just flirting with it at the minute drops in. So the issues would really take a lot of resolving. For me, best solution would be start again. The season is null and void. That's maybe controversial. And what you do with somebody like Bolton, who set off last season with a -12,
Yeah.
do you set them off with a -12 again? They would be in a far better position because of what work, Hill, I can't think of his first name now, Keith Hill has done there. And, you look at them and now say, well, they may have a fighting chance to actually survive in the league. Where at the minute, I think something like 21 points or something like that behind.
They've also would have had 2 or 3 transfer windows to start the squad as well. So again, that gives them even more of a fighting chance to claw back the points.
Yeah. So I can see both ends of this. I can see is it null and void? Then we just start again, or do we say, well, all right, we'll use a point system? I can't honestly say Liverpool would be happy at winning the league, not completing the league, and winning it on the old cricket score of well, you had more runs and we had more runs, and you had more batter, you had whatever it, So I'm just a little bit sort of. However, what it has now done for my team, we had quite a few injuries just before the lockdown and just before the stop. The majority of those may now be back to give us a good running. And the one missing, obviously, is the Bradley Dacks of this world, who we're not going to see him back until Christmas, realistically. But, we had a Corey Evans who had a real bad face injury, who was going to be out until May. Will be back. Lewis Holtby should be back in time. He was hopefully going to get fit if we got in the playoffs. So, looking at it from my side as a Blackburn supporter, it gives us a good chance then of the remaining games having a far better squad than we would have had. Is that fair? I don't know.
I mean, the Dutch FA have obviously cancelled and null and voided the Dutch league, and obviously there's no champion, there's no relegation, and they've basically just started they said, right, we're going to cancel it and start again as of next season. Which is obviously, as you say, controversial. Could it happen on the English FA? Possibly, but again, I reckon there's too much money involved in the Premier League to sort of dictate what happens with that, So I've got a message from the viewers. Gareth Dickman has said there's going to be 322 fans for the Dortmund game. Apparently, that's going to be a maximum they're going to let in the ground if the Bundesliga starts again. Again, that's a little bit controversial because you've got fans walking into the stadium who could infect players, staff.
Yeah.
So it's, if you're going to let one in, you might as well let 60,000 in. Do you know what I mean? It's
why not let everybody in? If you're going to let them in, then let everybody in. How do you select those 322?
Of course, yeah.
You know who they're going to be? They're going to be the corporate people, the people who've got the boxes.
Yeah, prawn sandwich brigade.
The fans who are allowed in. It's just, as I say, I can see both sides of this. I am more and more erring on the void the season and start again. Every club you speak to or every manager you hear, they say, we need a break. We need a break. So what they're going to do, play from June to July, August, and then start the season again. How does that then affect the following season?
I mean, I suppose I've had a few chats with my pals, and they've said that obviously with this lockdown, they would have been not playing football for 2 months, 3 months. You could take that as your break, and then the games that they play to finish off the season. Like, I think there's 9 games left in the Premier League. They could use that as a pre-season, and then go straight into the next, have a week off and then go straight into the next season. That's an option. But yeah, I mean, I know I'm erring on the side of cancelling the whole thing and just starting all over again.
I've got to admit, that's what I'm looking at. That's what I think. It's come to the stage now where they will be far better saying, sorry, that's it. First, 2nd or 3rd of August, whenever the season would have normally started, that's the date we're going to look at restarting the full season. As I say, I know Liverpool. Do you give them an advantage? Do you say, right, well, in that case, what we'll do is we'll give them some points?
No, I don't. No, I mean, again, another comment from the viewers. Gareth said, you can't give Liverpool the title and null and void the rest. Fair comment, you know.
No, you can't.
No.
You can't. You either null and void it, and or you come up with a system of points that.
Yeah.
I still can't believe any Liverpool supporter would want to win the league on a stalemate.
Yeah.
Regardless of who, because you know what you'd get. You'd get from every other club. You didn't win it, did you? Because you didn't complete the season.
Yeah, Premier League title in asterisk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gareth makes the point of where does that leave United for not getting in the Champions League? Again, also there's not just United. There's Tottenham, Chelsea, Leicester, obviously Man City as well. But they're saying that obviously.
Again, Leicester are the one that would lose out because if you just started from last season, the 4 that were in last season would be back in this season. Yeah. So Leicester would be the club who were, done exceptionally well yet again this season. Brendan Rodgers, I don't know what happened at Liverpool there. I always thought it was a bit dodgy going up to Celtic, but he did what he did. It's come down, he's turned around. And you feel for teams like that who, I think they would get in the Champions League this season. But obviously, if you null and void it, then they're not going to get in it. Yeah. But what's fair and what's not fair? It's one of those on that. It is one of those. Why not just? For me, I think I'd just redo the 94-95 season and then give them the championship.
I was just about to come on to that actually. I was just going to ask you a few questions about Blackburn and what your thoughts were on your obviously beloved Blackburn Rovers. It's been 25 years since you last won the Premier League. Can you ever see yourself doing it again?
I couldn't see myself 25 years ago winning it. So I'd have to say at this point, no. I think first thing I'd like to say is I think if we look at the structure from the top, I don't know exactly how many years ago Wenger's took over. There was a lot of objections. Mm-hmm. If you now look at them realistically, what they've actually done is they've supported the club through the worst period. Mm-hmm. Yes, you could say they brought it on. I think they had some real bad advice. When they first came in, it's quite common knowledge that they were told that you could be relegated from the Premier League. So maybe they didn't look at it properly. You look at the debt of the club that they've underwritten. 130 million, I think, at the last time I looked at it, and they've underwritten it. So we've now got some form of stability at the top. Mm-hmm. Coming down to the manager, I think Mowbray, he's done what we needed him to do. He's steadied the ship. He's got it going in the right way. And I do think that it's well worth giving him certainly another year, maybe 2 years, to see if he can achieve any more. The club itself, not the same club I started to support, but then are any of the clubs the same as, from the 60s and 70s? Me and one of my daughters used to just simply turn up on a Saturday. We'd jump on the away club with a lady called Barbara McGee, and off we'd go. There's things like that that happen anymore. I took my son once down to an area called Pleasanton Playing Fields where Blackburn used to train. Mm-hmm. And we were stood at the car park. Kenny Douglas jumps out, taps my son on the shoulder, says, "Can you tie shoelaces?" My son was 4 at the time, went, "No." And he said, "I can't either." Ran onto the pitch. Tony Parks tied the shoelaces for him. Now, whether it was just something he'd said in the meantime, that doesn't happen anymore, obviously. We all have now nice training grounds. So clubs have changed. So in terms of where we're at the moment and where we've been back in the League One or 2 seasons ago, I think we've come a long way. We've still a long way to go, but I think stability is the main thing that we now need. We're now recruiting some real good players. Bradley Deck has been a revelation. Lewis Holtby, again, I saw him, I've seen him a couple of times live and I've seen him quite often on the TV. Mm-hmm. I don't know how we're attracting players like that, but he's being able to pick up players that are hungry, and I think that's the important thing. there are a couple of players that I think are coming to the end. We've got Danny Graham, who has been a great servant for the club. I think he's got another season left on his contract, or he's got an extension if he wants it. I think that'll be taken up. And we've got two young strikers in Bretherton and Gallagher. Bretherton's been a bit of a misnomer. 7 million, I think, from Forest. I keep looking at the lad thinking, well, you've got all the attributes in the world. You're quick, you're strong, you're big. It just doesn't seem to, at the minute, have that final touch to him. Gallagher again, but I think if you give these players a run in the team, they get confidence. Once you get a player with confidence, it's a completely different matter. If goalkeeper, we need to sort the goalkeeper out. I mean, Walton is on loan. I don't think many of my friends would like me to say this, but I'd like to see a certain Burnley goalkeeper come along because I think he's got something to prove.
Big Joe.
Yeah, I really do.
He's on a free. He's on a free, so.
I mean, whether wages would be achievable, I don't know. I think to lose him, I read somewhere that he looks like he's going to Turkey or somewhere. I just think, why not take a punt? It's 20. I think it's still only 28, 29. Most keepers don't come into the best until they're 30. We took many years ago a punt on an unknown called Brad Friedel, who had been at Liverpool, sort of dropped away a bit. We took him on, and the lad was outstanding for us. So the goalkeeper needs to be sorted. Whether we keep Walton, he had a very shaky start, but again, has come strong as the season goes on. So we've got the basis there of a good team.
I mean, Joe Hart's 33, but like you say, goalkeepers can go to 39, 40-year-old these days because of the physical condition. You've got a striker up front called Adam Armstrong, 22-year-old, good prospect. He scored 11 goals in the Championship this season. Do you think you can keep hold of him and sort of build a team around him?
He only signed permanently, I think, this season. I think he actually signed permanently from Newcastle this season, didn't he? We had him on last season.
He's been on loan for a couple of seasons.
We had him on loan last season. He signed this season.
Yeah.
Again, a player that's absolutely oozing confidence at the moment. Whatever he seems to hit goes in the top corner. It comes off his bum and goes in. I think he needs another season in the Championship before he moved on. Whether that's Blackburn.
Not think you can keep him?
I do. I really do think certainly we'll keep him for another season. I think if he performs like he performed this season, next season, for the whole season, I think that's when people will start sort of throwing reasonable money. Blackburn are a selling club. We're not a club that's going to. If somebody comes in and offers us 15 million for Dak, we're not going to refuse it. We can't afford to refuse it. Same with Armstrong. If someone comes in and says there's 15 million, would he be bettering himself? I don't know. It depends where he went. If he went to, say, I don't know, Watford, would he be bettering himself? Yes, they're in the Premiership. Leeds, would he be bettering himself? Possibly, because he might get into the Premiership. But I think I'm a strong believer in, players get a feeling for a club. And if they can hit a good streak in that club and the club stays by them, I think there's a lot to be gained by keeping players happy and keeping them in the rut. I think certainly another season. I don't think there's any chance he'd go this close season. So I think certainly another season before probably anything. I'd like to think we could keep him. But as I say, unfortunately, we're not in a position where if somebody comes in with a sensible offer, we'd refuse it. He's on fire at the moment, I've got to admit. I mean, I got back and Blackburn had been taken out of the FA Cup, so the home game was postponed, and I went to Sheffield the following week. Probably the best game of the season, 5-0 away. Everything that day just happened to go in the net. They got the place set up pretty early on for. It was a stamp, and I think the referee did right to send him off, but it was pretty early. Maybe that early the referee might have gone, look, yellow card there, but fair play. He took the decision, but they were awesome that day. You know, every player that day. So yeah, Armstrong, excellent player. They've moved him up front, or sort of like into a number 10, having lost Dak, because he's been playing wide. So he's come into the middle and he's taken the responsibility on.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Dak, or obviously the two probably best players. Although there's a Lenahan at the back, central defender, I think we're more likely to lose him than Armstrong. He's been playing along with the guy from Man City. Still can't remember his Guinea, I think it is, or something. Who, to be honest, is class. You can, you know, if you go to a game, you'll see a player and you'll go, he's class. And where's he come from? And he is absolutely class. There's no two ways about it. I think if Man City don't either play him, he will leave, because now he's been playing football again. I think he'll want to play football. But I think Lanahan may be the one we would lose at the back rather than Armstrong up to the front.
Yeah, I mean, there's. Yeah, I know what you're saying about leaving City. I mean, I just don't want it to be another Jadon Sancho scenario. Do you know what I mean? Losing for 9 million and he's worth 100. Do you know what I mean? I know. Obviously, if the season restarts again, you're 3 points off the playoffs. Obviously, given your current injury situation, do you think you can, if the season restarts, think you can push for promotion?
Blackburn have a real good habit of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. So, yes, we could. Will we do? I'm probably going to be honest and say no.
Okay.
I would like to think we could. Unfortunately for me, the break has come at the right time in terms of injuries, but the wrong time, because we were actually in quite a good run of form. And the teams, you know, they're thereabouts, Preston, I think West Brom, Leeds, Fulham. I think it's going to come from those three, the two that would go up. So the others are, you know, Nottingham Forest. They're all much of a muchness. They've all been losing recently, including ourselves. So it's bunched everybody up. So it would only need, you know, if we could get 3 wins on the bounce straight away, then that would put us in a strong position. But we're not usually good starters of a season, or good starters of a restart of a season. You know, we're traditionally slow starters. We normally pick up mid-season, put a bit of a run together, and then fall away the last 2 or 3 games. But I don't think we're ready yet to go up. I'd love to think we could, and that's why I said, you know, if we get into the playoffs and, for instance, we play Preston in the final, for me, what's the point then of having the game if it's behind closed doors? You know, you know, you might as well then say, well, we'll play it at Old Trafford and take away the Wembley out of it. You know, and the players would have had the opportunity and worked hard. No, and I also think we will just fall short. I'd love to think I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being pessimistic, and you know, other fans might come and say, "Well, you know, you're a supporter. You should always think." Yeah, but I'm being honest. So I'd like to think we get promoted and win the Premier League again next season, but I don't think that's going to happen at this
stage. Are you confident with Tony Mowbray in charge? I mean,
yeah, I am at the moment. I think he's proved his worth at the moment. I think he's steadied the ship. You know, we came up last season and we've improved again this season. No shadow about it. The closed season transfer market might be interesting. If we could get some quality I think we definitely need a goalkeeper. We definitely need another central defender. Possibly a striker. I mean, as I said, we've got Armstrong, but we just need that. I've always liked the bigger man up the front and Armstrong running off him. And although Gallagher's getting in there, if Danny Graham had been 5 years younger, I'd have been, this is it, we've got the right player. You know, Danny Graham came in, I think 5 years ago, and he's done a tremendous job. But he's maybe a 10, 12 game man, not a 40 game man. Comes off of the bench. But we just need a couple of extra players, I think, in the close season. So, yeah, I think Mowbray's fine at the moment. I always look on the other side. Who could we get? Who's out there that we could actually attract and get? And we've tried this before. You know, we went through managers like knife through butter. You know, 4 or 5 seasons ago, we were swapping them every 6 months, and it didn't do us any good. So is stability a better way of going? Once you've got stability, as long as you're progressing, for me, that's fine. So, you know, if we don't get promoted this season and we don't get in the playoffs this season, then next season we have to be looking at getting in those top 6. If we're then falling away and we're not achieving that, then maybe he would come under question. But no, I'm quite happy with Mowbray at the minute. Back staff seem to be working well as well there.
On the Standard 442 channel, we're going to start recording some studio videos, and one of the features is naming. Basically, the Premier League are doing a Hall of Fame. And we're going to pick 2 players from each team who've ever played in the Premier League for that Hall of Fame. So could you pick 2 Blackburn players to go into your Hall of Fame for the... It has to be Premier League. It can't be any other league. It has to be in the Premier League.
They played in the Premier League?
Yes. 2 players.
Alan Shearer's got to be one, hasn't he?
See, the debate is, obviously, we need to pick a Newcastle Hall of Fame. Now, for me, Shearer would be in the Newcastle Hall of Fame.
But he won nothing.
I know. But so that's the thing. Do you base the Hall of Fame on what they've won, or the affiliation to the club? Now, for me, there has to be it's a club hero. Do you know what I mean? So for me, Newcastle would have Alan Shearer instead of Blackburn.
So what you're saying is that Blackburn can't have Alan Shearer because Newcastle.
Well, I can't pick 2 players from the same team, you know.
Right.
I can't pick the same player for 2 teams. So
right, I'm torn here because I think we had an absolute super player called Two guy.
Yeah.
Who played at Blackburn, but then you look at David Dunn, and I couldn't pick both of them. Okay. You know, David Dunn, as you were saying, he's Blackburn through and through. You know, I know he left for a short time to go to Birmingham. But then you look at players like, funny enough, I was watching the Worthington Cup. We won in 2002. Matt Janssen that year was absolutely outstanding. But would I put him in? No. So it would probably be Two guy. Okay. I'm probably surprised to everybody. My other one would be Pedersen, Gams Pedersen.
Well, I guess Pedersen, yeah, okay.
10 years, played through everything, gave everything he could for the club. But then, you know, if you're not allowing Miss Shearer, then but, you know, David Dunn, Two guy are a split. Two guy was technically absolutely fantastic. But then David Dunn was there from being a 15-year-old. I mean, as I said, I was coaching in youth football, and we played against David, my team. Not against him, a team he was playing in at the time, because he's from Great Harwood, which is just, you know, up the road from Blackburn. And we used to play sort of in the Great Harwood League as well. And then, you know, so somebody like David Dunn, who's been there from being 12, 13.
Yeah.
But in terms of technical ability, the outstanding player for me would be Two guy.
Do you know what? Do you know what, Glenn? I'm buzzing that you said that, because me and there's another lad on the channel called Wayne, and we were going back and forth over text messages of who should be in everyone's Hall of Fame, and my two picks were two guys, Martin Gas Pedersen, for Blackburn, and just to let you know as well, I got a comment from one of the viewers, Adam, saying Shearer definitely Newcastle Hall of Fame. So. I'm sorry, Glenn.
Well, I understand if that's your criteria, I can understand it. Was he the leading goal scorer at Newcastle?
I think he is. I'm sure he will be.
Overall numbers. I mean, he wasn't at Blackburn because there's a lad called Simon Garner who's still, as far as I know, holds the most goals scored.
Yeah,
but never Premier League.
It's Alan Shearer, 148 goals.
Yeah. You know, I mean, we have people like Colin Henry, who again, absolutely superb for the club. You know, Brad Friedel, absolutely outstanding goalkeeper for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. Tim Flowers. But for me, two guy is the outstanding player, and Pedersen just really for the dedication he showed to the club.
Would you not consider Chris Sutton?
Yes, but not long enough.
Fair enough.
When you know, if you're not letting me have Shearer, how can I have Sutton?
I suppose, yeah.
Chris Sutton, absolutely fantastic lad. I actually met him on a couple of occasions. Absolutely stunning lad. But if you're looking at, you know, through and through Blackburn players, I mean, Jason Roberts, you know, again, fantastic striker. But would I put him? Maybe Nathan would have him as Wigan. I don't know.
Possibly.
You know,
I think the one of the Wigan ones for me was Roddy Eager and Jimmy Bullard.
Yeah.
So again,
But then hang on, Jimmy Bullard went on to Fulham, didn't
he? He did. Yeah, but and he went to Hull City as well and did that famous celebration. You know what I mean? So you know, it is a tough one. It's a good debate actually, because obviously when the Premier League have their Hall of Fame, it's going to be more United, Arsenal, Chelsea, and you know, whoever else plays. You know, so it's a good debate.
And if you look at it, you know, again, I'm Blackburn through and through. But you've got to look at other clubs and say, you know, someone like Ryan Giggs. How many games did he play? What has he won? He's got to be the outstanding performer of the Premier League.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Not the most, you know, fashionable player at times. You know, liked his ladies, obviously. But look at him as a, you know, if you're putting somebody in the Hall of Fame, but I bet he doesn't come up as a Man United player.
Well, my two picks was Ryan Giggs and Paul Scholes for United. I mean, obviously there's Eric Cantona as well. You can consider David Beckham, but you know, for me, the outstanding two was Scholes and Giggs. I've got Glenn. I've got a couple of comments on the stream, going absolutely crazy with you. What about David Bentley?
Fantastic player again, absolutely wonderful player, but only played a couple of seasons. Went on to, I think he went to Tottenham, didn't he?
Yeah, Spurs. Yeah,
I think he left us for Tottenham and did nothing. But I think if you're using the criteria of somebody who has, you know, been on the club, and you know, if you're using the criteria of Shearer and that, you know, he was Newcastle through and through. David Dunn's and two guys are the two players, and Pedersen for me that would be sort of 10 years, but all of them at the club. What more do you want out of a player?
Yeah. Would you put like Brett Emerton up there, top 5?
Actually, I would. Yeah. Again, somebody that came from not nowhere, but somebody who was not doing particularly well. You've got to admire managers who can put a team together from players who you think, who's he? Where's he from? Yeah. You know, a lot of people will say that when Doug Leach first came, he bought the league, but then every other club has done it. Look at Liverpool, how much they've spent, Man City, how much they've spent. So, you know, let's put that aside. But then you look at the players that he brought in, You know, Tim Sherwood, where did he suddenly come from? You know, he had Stuart Ripley out there. He brought Mike Newell in, and you're thinking all these players that they fitted the jigsaw, and it was more important that they fitted the jigsaw than were outstanding players. But you know, everybody will tell you a team is made of 11 players, not one individual player. You then get a talisman like Shearer that was there, and all comes together. But yeah, Emerton. I saw something the other day where you to name your best 11, but none of them could be from the same country.
Oh yeah.
So
That's the next debate.
I had three as the goalkeeper, and I had Emerton, and I had Pedersen on the other side.
Oh, did you? Right, okay.
But I also, one of the ones I had was Henning Berg, who again for me, you know, was an excellent player. Not an unknown because obviously he came from Norwegian football, but somebody who again just absolutely does it. I mean, we had a New Zealand centre back called Ryan Nelson.
Yes, yeah.
Now, if you ever want a player that would run through brick walls, you either have him or the old Irish guy. Was it McGrath? No, it wasn't McGrath. Can't remember his name now. He had a nose bent like that. You know, but they would run through walls. I mean, we had a player called Chris Samba, who was like 6'6", 6'8", and he was enormous. You know, so you look at players like that, and it's not easy. It's not easy. But I'm still going to argue Shearer. I'm sorry, but you know, he did win the league with us. We could say that we made him, and Newcastle bought him.
Yeah. I see your point there. I see your point. but I mean, if I was to think of Alan Shearer straight away, I think of that Newcastle strip with Newcastle Brown Ale on the sponsorship. You know, so.
Yeah, and I think the thing was that he was there for a lot longer than he was at Blackburn. He played more games for the Newcastle than at Blackburn. It was his home club, so all that I can understand. But he didn't win anything with them.
he won the fans' appreciation and he got a statue. All right, Glenn.
Mickey Mouse got a statue at Disney, but he didn't.
Oh, jeez. But yeah, no, it's fantastic to speak to you. It's great having you on. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Well, send everybody over there our best wishes, and hopefully everything settles down pretty quickly, and we can resolve all these issues. I think if everybody just stays safe, and that's all that matters now.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate your time, Glenn, and I'm sure I'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, mate. Bye.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye.